Today we're going to go through the steps to use a TruePulse 360 to capture span lengths. First order of business is to find a location for your TruePulse where you have a clear line of sight from your forward poles to your backward poles. Also important, make sure your TruePulse is in the HD function. This will give you a horizontal distance from pole to pole. Once you've established a location where you have clear line of sight and you're in your HD function, aim on your first pole, take your shot, and record your footage. If possible and if they're available, try to shoot at viz strips or reflective items. This will give you the best return of light back to the instrument with the most accurate readings. You've collected your first shot, you're going to roll your device around, go to your next pole, and again, collect that shot. Those readings will be recorded on the paper or into your device. There will be times when you set up in the field that you're not going to be able to have clear line of sight from pole to pole. You will have tree limbs, vegetation, street signs, those type of things in your way. TruePulse has the capability of shooting a horizontal distance along any point along the length of the pole. So if you don't have clear line of sight to the butt of the pole, you can actually shoot a higher point on the pole to collect the data, and it will give you an accurate footage reading. I'll demonstrate that. We've got a pole that has some obstruction of tree. I can actually go above the tree and shoot my horizontal distance at a point higher on the pole. I come back with a 94 feet. Just for demonstration purposes, I have a clear shot at the butt of this pole from the same location, and I shoot that angle and it still shows 94 feet. This is going to be useful to you in many situations where you do have obstructed views. You can use any point along the length of the pole as a target. Many of the poles that you capture will have multiple wire endpoints to them. Oftentimes it will be necessary to move your tripod in order to capture all the wire endpoints, as you will not be able to get them all from a single location. The instance we have here, we're going to capture our forward and back span and then show that because of our location we have to move the tripod in order to capture one of our other wire endpoints off of it. So I will capture my forward span first, shooting the viz strips. I capture my forward span, swing around, capture my back span, and then swinging this direction, I'm offset from my pole, so I'm going to have to move my tripod to be in line with my subject pole. So I'll move my tripod to a point halfway through the pole and capture my next wire endpoint here. You may need to repeat this multiple times depending upon how many wire endpoints you have. There will be instances where you will not have clear line of sight from pole to pole. If you have minor obstructions, the use of offsets can be very useful to you. These can be useful not only for measuring azimuths, but also measuring distances if you can't have clear line of sight. For a brief demonstration, I've got a partner with me to help me shoot these offsets. It's not necessary to have two people. You can use a cone, a clipboard, or some other object to mark the offset on your next subject pole. Brief demonstration purposes, we are shooting poles that are clear, but this is just for demonstration to show you how you would set up your TruePulse to measure an offset. Assuming that we have an obstruction from this pole to the next pole, we'll start on this pole, which is where we've got our TruePulse set up. We'll measure from the center line of the pole out to any set distance. It can be 4 feet, 5 feet, whatever the terrain may allow you to set. In this case, I'm going to measure out 48 inches to the center of my TruePulse. What I'll do then is I'll have my partner, or I will go up and he'll measure on our next pole out 48 inches from the center of that pole and hold a stick or set a cone there so that we have a target to shoot. Once we've established our 4-foot offset on our subject pole, using our partner or object that we've placed up there as a target, we can go ahead and now shoot our distance to that target. This is also useful, as I said, for shooting azimuths from pole to pole to give you correct angles. We'll cover that in a later section. What my partner is going to demonstrate is a method you could use to show an offset on the ground to establish a mark. Again, measuring from the center line of the pole, measure out to a known distance, 4 feet, mark the ground with a lumber crayon or some other type of pencil. Using that mark, you would then take your stick or your target, possibly a cone clipboard, and set that on that mark with an established offset. You would then transfer that same offset to your next pole and again be able to make your shot for distance or azimuth. This is a useful tool if you're working by yourself. For short distance shots from pole to pole or for measuring for anchor lead lengths, oftentimes it would be easier to use a tape measure than it would your true pulse, come up with a more accurate number. For anchor leads, we're going to measure from the base of the pole to the point where the anchor goes into the ground, and I'll demonstrate. This is 21 feet to this anchor. Just for demonstration purposes, if I were measuring from this to say this was another structure, I could also do this, which shows me 17.8 feet from structure to structure.